gentlemen, let's now take a look at some economic news that's coming in, and this one is on the trade front. The trade data for the month of July, along with April to July 2026, was released by Commerce Ministry, and it's been a record period for India's exports to the world. In fact, what we're given to understand from the data that's been shared by Commerce Ministry is that in the first quarter, that is from April to July 2026, the period clocked record exports of $236.28 billion, so which essentially means that exports were up over 13% on a YOY basis. The same for merchandise exports as well. They were up 13% on a YOY basis. In fact, services as an estimate was at $106.5 billion. Now, if we look at the data for the month of July, well, it presents a similar picture. Once again, record exports, merchandise exports growth is up by close to 20%, to be precise, 19.6% up on a YOY basis. In fact, exports were seen at $80.14 billion for both merchandise and services, which essentially means that it's an uptick of over 13% when compared to the same period last year. Merchandise imports, however, when we talk about imports and exports, merchandise imports were also up. Exports were up, but at the same time, imports were also up 17% on a YOY basis, and which is why we did see the expansion of trade deficit. It came at $31.98 billion versus $27.88 billion, which was factored in last year at the same time. In fact, the West Asia picture, well, that also looks slightly better because, trade deficit was at 56% of India with West Asia. When we look at the March picture, March 2026 picture, but if we look at exports for the month of July to West Asia, well, they are at a high of $5.7 billion, so they are up by over 8% on a YOY basis. So, of course, India's trade picture is going rather well. It is resilient, and of course, one of the aspects is government's policies around diversification, around finding newer geographies, and this is what we've done. And of course, we've seen, the tariff pressure as well, and then some ports were not operational. So rather, this is a rather good set of numbers that's coming in. Well, with that, I'm being told that we have to slip into a short commercial break. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more that's lined up on the other side of this short break, so you don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break on News Now.